The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
Take a walk on the wild side in the Palm Beaches. Ecotourism is big business in Palm Beach County. From lions to loggerheads, our resident wildlife population is one of the things that makes the Palm Beaches a special place to visit. Aquatic adventures let you see our majestic sea turtles and tropical fish in living color, while our zoos, wildlife parks and natural areas give you an up-close look at everything from rhinos to alligators. It is here that nature is on full display. It's like nowhere else in the world. As one of the largest counties east of the Mississippi, we have lots of room to explore the wild animal encounters that are seemingly endless in the Palm Beaches. Ever wished you could swim with dolphins or get up close to a manatee? In the Palm Beaches, you can. From the Florida Everglades and the Loxahatchee River to the Intracoastal Waterway and the Atlantic Ocean, take a walk on the wild side and discover the great outdoors in a tropical paradise. Join me, James Currie, as we discover the Wild Palm Beaches.
On this episode of Wild Palm Beaches, we'll visit one of Palm Beach County's main animal attractions, the Palm Beach Zoo. Panthers, otters, and a very unusual alligator named Marty are just a few of the interesting residents of this wild hotspot. We'll also explore the art of nature with a local artist that calls the Palm Beaches home. Then it's time to get wild with Jada and Benji as they gear up for a day of paddleboarding the wild Intracoastal Waterway. We'll also learn about some unique artificial reefs that are helping preserve our wild fish populations. All this and more right here on the Wild Palm Beaches.
With over 23 acres of land, almost 200 different species of animals, and one of the top 5 most visited locations in the Palm Beaches, this is the Palm Beach Zoo. I'm here with Kelly McCory, who is the carnivore zoologist here at the Palm Beach Zoo. And we're here to meet a very special inhabitant of the zoo. But before we do that, we're going to put on our COVID-19 masks. A lot of people don't realize that big cats are actually very susceptible to COVID. And so we want to exercise as much caution as possible. Let's go meet Sassy, the Florida panther. So Kelly, what are we doing here?
So this is just some basic positive reinforcement training. It's all operant conditioning. It's all stuff that we use to kind of help take better care of them. Since I don't go into this enclosure with her, it's important that she comes over nice and close to me. I can look all over her body, make sure everything's okay. So actually right now the position that she's in is a really great positioning there. So how she's close to the mesh like that. That's a great way for our vet staff to come down and we can do voluntary injections on her. We can actually draw blood from her tail right there.
Wow.
So right how her hip is just along the mesh there. So that's something she learned voluntarily to kind of help with our vet staff.
And what are you feeding her? Is that filet steak?
Yeah, basically yes. So they are carnivores, so she is eating a beef chunk, but they do get a variety of different things to eat, so different prey items. So chicken, fish, rabbits, all kinds of prey items, and meat. They get bones as well. So we try to give them a variety of things to mimic what they would have in the wild.
Right.
Target?
She looks in great condition,
Good,
doesn't she?
yeah, she is. She's about 6 years old now.
Okay.
Yeah, good girl. That's me. Up. Good. So having her move into different body positions is also a really great way to get a good look all over her. Down. Good.
Now, Kelly, is she just a regular panther, or is she a Florida subspecies of
This is
panther?
a Florida panther. So Sassy was originally born in the wild Unfortunately, her mom was hit by a car when she was about 4 months old. So she was left orphaned very young and taken in by Fish and Wildlife. So they were able to take her over to the Naples Zoo, and they did some rehab with her there. And then that's when she was deemed non-releasable. So we were able to bring her here once we had our new panther enclosure set up. So she's been here ever since she was about 6 months old. Florida panthers right now are very critically endangered in the wild. There's only about 200 of them that exist left here in Florida. So it's really important to have Florida panthers still here because they are such a huge predator species that help to control a lot of the lower prey species in Florida. Because there's so few of them, and unfortunately they get hit by cars and habitat loss and things like that, animals like Sassy wouldn't have had a home and she wouldn't have survived. So being able to have her here is a great way for people to be able to see a Florida panther because they most likely would never see one in the wild. So it's a great way to have that connection with her and for people to be able to see that and hopefully be inspired to want to save them too.
Kelly, thank you so much for telling us a little bit more about the Florida panther.
Of course, you're welcome.
And the plight that it faces in Florida. Often we are here living in Florida. Very few people actually realize that we've got such a special species right here in South Florida. So thank you so much for telling us.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming out to meet Sassy and hear her story.
Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the welcome to the jungle. Welcome to.
Well, moving on from fur to scales, I'm here with Mike, the general curator of the Palm Beach Zoo, and we're here to meet Marty, the leucistic alligator. Can you tell us a little bit more about Marty?
Yeah, so Marty came to us from the bayous of Louisiana. Him and all of his brothers were originally found by a fisherman who saw all these white alligators coming out of a nest. And a white alligator in the wild isn't going to last too long. So he was able to rescue them and take them to the Audubon Zoo, who then grew them up and then was able to loan them out to a number of institutions. So Marty came to us back in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina, and he's been with us ever since.
Oh, that's amazing. And tell us a little bit about the difference between leucistic and albino.
Yeah, so albino means that they don't have any pigmentation whatsoever in their body. So an albino animal will be white, maybe some pink, and have pink eyes. A leucistic animal, the easiest way to think of it is that they have spots, but they've just got one great big white spot. And so on Marty, you'll notice he's got freckles on his nose, so he's got dark spots on his nose, and then he has beautiful blue eyes.
And we're about to meet somebody right now who is going to take us up close and personal with Marty. Meet Emily, who takes care of Marty and the other reptilians here at the Palm Beach Zoo. Stacy, Emily, and Mike are with the leucistic alligator Marty in his den.
Moving it so I can do it. Good boy. Watch out, yeah. You gotta stop moving. Good. Very nice.
Nice.
Marty is a very fun animal to work with. He really loves doing behaviors and training. He did some A to B training with Stacy. This is our main station A, where Marty will come in. He'll get the first leg of the training for targeting, and then he'll swoop over to the other station, which is B station, to Stacy, and then he gets a treat. We also reinforce him with a good boy, so he gets reinforced 2 different ways. Sometimes we don't reinforce with food, we'll reinforce with just a verbal cue. What a good boy. The A to B behaviors is great because we can have the vet stand outside and look at him swimming and check all of his skin. And when we do other behaviors such as the open behavior, we can check his mouth and all the tissues that are in there. We also do a lot of enrichment with Marty, and he does have a lot of play behaviors that he elicits. They're very intelligent animals.
If he eats the camera, we won't hold you liable.
We definitely don't want to.
Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the welcome to the jungle. Welcome to
The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
And now we're about to meet another resident of Florida, the North American river otter, and we're here with Grayson, who's the carnivore zoologist here at the Palm Beach Zoo. Tell us a little bit about these river otters.
We have Luna and Ollie here. They are our breeding pair of North American river otters. This year they will be turning 5 years old. Up. Good. So obviously they're extremely observant. They're very aware that you guys are hanging out in here. Their feet are webbed, but they are also impressive diggers. See those claws? North American river otters are one of the most versatile species of otter. You can find them all the way up into Alaska, but you see them all the way down here, you can see them in the Keys. So they have an undercoat and an upper coat that allows their body to really regulate their temperature. So it cools them off, but also keeps them really warm and insulated. So even though they're super cute, they're definitely not a cuddly animal. Their teeth are about as sharp as a domestic cat's, and their jaw strength's comparable to a decent sized dog, like a German Shepherd. They are an impressive little carnivore. So, you know, if you see them, give them their space, because they are very smart, they're very curious. A lot of people around here will see them on their docks.
Yep, I have one of my dogs.
Yeah.
And so in the wild, Grayson, they'll be feeding on predominantly bigger fish than that if possible?
If possible. They are very industrious, it's what they can catch. So they will also eat a lot of shellfish, crabs, but honestly, anything that they can catch. They are opportunistic when it comes to feeding, but the most bang for your buck is always going to be fish.
And they seem as though they're pretty intelligent, right?
They are. Yes, they are extremely intelligent. Station. Good.
And Grayson, tell us a little bit about how they are adapted to living an aquatic lifestyle or a semi-aquatic lifestyle. If you look at their tails, I can see they've got that dorso-ventrally flattened tail.
Yes. They've also got all 4 of their feet are webbed, and then they can also close their nostrils and their ears when they're swimming underwater, and they can hold their breath for a lot longer than we can.
The enrichment and the habitat in the zoo, they're so amazing for all the animals, aren't they?
Absolutely. We spend a good portion of our day making sure that our animals have a lot of enrichment, as well as the guests are just as much enrichment for our younger otters. Peach and Yoshi here, they enjoy playing with people that come to visit them just as much as the enrichment that we give them.
Well, that's great. Look at them, they're so cute. So these are a brother and a sister?
A brother and a sister pair, so they are a companion pair.
Wow, and it's great to get this perspective where you're looking underwater, because you can see their whole life history, right?
Yes.
So from the other enclosure, you're looking at them from above, you're getting the terrestrial feeling, and now we've got the underwater feeling with them, which is great.
Well, and you can see how well adapted they are for being in the water. They move very quickly.
These otters at the Palm Beach Zoo are just another part of the wild Palm Beaches. The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
Hey, I'm Benji.
I'm Jada.
And it's time to get wild in the Palm Beaches. Hey everybody, I'm Benji Studt with Palm Beach County's Environmental Resources Management. Today we're here with Jada.
Hello.
And we've got Lexi here from High Point Paddle, and we're at MacArthur Beach State Park. This is the only state park here in the Palm Beaches, and it's such an amazing place to come explore what is wild about the Palm Beaches, because the park preserves everything from nearshore reef habitat where you can snorkel on the beach, maritime hammock, and then the beautiful estuary mangroves and everything here. Clear water, a lot of wildlife. You guys ready to check it out?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, let's start paddling.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna put the paddle on the right-hand side. Your left arm's on top. You wanna keep your paddle nice and straight from the front of your board to your feet. Okay, it's a little more difficult in the water, but we'll get on the boards and try it. If your paddle's out here, it'll help you turn, but then you start to do circles, then we all laugh, that's no fun. So make sure your paddle's nice and straight. When you switch sides, you're gonna go ahead and switch hands. Whatever side the paddle's on, that arm goes on the bottom, again, nice and straight. You really just have to paddle to your feet. The only way to put on the brakes or to turn is to back paddle, and that's pushing the water forward. Notice I'm bending my knees. If you put your brakes on the left, your board will turn to the left, and same with the right. If you feel like you're gonna fall, go right to your knees. That'll prevent you from falling in. And if you do fall in, grab your glasses because they don't float.
So what we've done is we paddled out from High Point's launch and we made it over to Munyon Island. Munyon Island is really special for us because it is the first major restoration project that we did here in Lake Worth Lagoon. So this island has so much history, right?
It really does,
And so Munyon Island was named for the guy who 100 years ago had like a hotel here, right?
Yep. His name was James Munyon, and he built Hotel Hygeia, named after the Greek goddess of health. And it was 5 stories, and the wealthy northerners would come down to Munyon Island and Lake Worth Lagoon to bask in the fountain of youth and drink Dr. Munyon's pawpaw elixir.
Right.
And that was made of fermented papaya juice that was on the island. And there's, I mean, just a ton of history, even couples before that. But the hotel actually burnt down in 1917.
And so then, you know, fast forward to the 90s, and that's when Palm Beach County partnered with MacArthur Beach State Park, and our biologists designed a restoration project here. And shortly after we were done is when you started running tours, right? And so we did this massive restoration where we removed a lot of the fill, the spoil that was placed on the island and the exotic vegetation. And we restored maritime hammock, mangrove habitat, and seagrass habitat. And so, like, how big were the mangroves when you started running tours?
They literally were this big. Like, I mean, amazing. And I can't wait to show you how much it's grown and how beneficial it is for the estuary. It's pretty awesome.
What does this mean to you? Because, I mean, you've been running tours here for 20 years and you've got to see this restoration really come to life and take shape.
You know, it's so amazing because, you know, we're both Florida natives and we're proud of that. Anyone from Florida is very proud of that. You know, growing up, we came to field trips here and we're netting and learning about the environment, and now we get to use that on a day-to-day basis to educate people and help them in preservation efforts. So it's just been such an awesome ride, and I'm still happy to continue to be a part of that.
That's awesome. And so Jada, and that's what this is all about, right? Is like, get out, explore your backyard, because you know, what we have here is so incredible. We've got a little hermit crab that's crawling around on the sand right underneath our boards here. We told you it was windy. That's the beautiful part about paddling Munyon, is as soon as you get around that corner, you guys are gonna see these beautiful mangrove channels. It's nice, protected, clear, even on a breezy day. So why don't we go explore and see what we can find here on Munyon Island. What's up, you? Munyon Island.
Not only is it good for exercise, it's great for a nap.
All right, so Lexi, we made it back. What an awesome adventure. Thank you so much for taking us. A trip that was just packed full of life, guys, right? So let's see, we've got horseshoe crabs in abundance out on the sandbars that were even mating, which is awesome to see. Hermit crabs crawling all over the place. Just the mangroves that you paddle through in Munyon Island are incredible, and to see the life that is all over those prop roots as they hang in the water, the oysters, and even these little shrimp that are tucked into that sargassum. So much life here in the estuary, not to mention the stuff above the water, the ospreys, the great blue herons, the pelicans. Until the next time, get out, explore your backyard, and get wild in the Palm Beaches.
Yeah, you did awesome out there. It was great.
The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
I'm Richard Crossley, and this is The Art of Nature.
You're watching The Wild Palm Beaches, and this is The Art of Nature, where we feature local photographers and artists who are inspired by the beautiful scenery and wildlife surrounding us in the Palm Beaches.
I'm here with my good friend Richard Crossley, who's a very famous birding author and photographer. Richard, tell me, how did you get into birding and then also photography?
Well, I was a little naughty, James. I got into collecting birds' eggs, but from that, my love of the outdoors really started. My school teacher was a birder, when I was 10, and after that it was all downhill, or uphill if you like. I got into photography 15 years ago because of all the books that I do, so it was through necessity, and then digital photography came along, and as we know, that changed everything, right? I want to help people understand what they're looking at, to teach them, but photographs taken with big lenses up close are out of focus, in focus, out of focus. That's not telling a story. It's not like what we see. So what I wanted to do, James, was try and make something that replicates real life. So I do a mosaic of images. Everything is in focus from near to far, so it's a lifelike scene. So you can show the whole life story of the bird, where it lives, how everything is connected. People talk about colour, but for me, I'm a voyeur of birds. I love their personalities, how they're connected. I love to just watch their lifestyles, what they do and why they do it, and like connect all the dots. Nothing in nature is by accident. Everything is for a reason. So working that out is really the real fun for me. This area's got it all. So it's got a whole mosaic of habitats, from the ocean to fresh water to trees, forests, grasslands. So you have this mosaic of habitats, and every season is different. So, you know, in winter you get the birds coming south from the north, in summer you get them coming up to breed here, and fall migration, spring migrations. Every season is really different, and then with this massive mosaic of habitats, it's just fantastic, you know. The chance to find new places, new birds, new everything here is still fantastic. So it's just an incredible area, so diverse.
Well, today's a big day for the West Palm Beach Fishing Club. Through the club's charitable foundation, the Palm Beach County Fishing Foundation, we are launching our second batch of reef darts. Now, reef darts are a really innovative type of artificial reef structure that utilizes surplus power poles and other surplus materials to make high vertical profile artificial reef modules on the bottom of the ocean floor. These power poles are used and modified in a way that allows them that when they're pushed off the side of the barge, they end up in a vertical orientation, creating a forest of vertical power poles, if you will, underneath the water. Plus, the other conservation benefit to this is that these surplus materials like power poles and old culverts are finding a new life. They're not being added to our local landfills, and they're not costing utility companies or municipalities extra money to grind them up or dispose of them. So we're really on to something pretty cool here, and this is our second go at it. The first go we had a lot of success. We've tweaked the design this year, and we're really looking forward to getting these things in the water. Now, each reef dart weighs 8.5 tons, and most of that mass is here at the base, where the base actually provides the stability of the pole as it's oriented vertically in the water column. Reef darts can be used in a variety of ways. They can be used as breadcrumbs dropped in between two existing artificial reefs so that when divers do drift dives or fishermen are drifting along the edge, they have more reef complexity that they're fishing or diving on along their entire drift. Reef darts can actually enhance existing artificial reefs by adding complexity on the outskirts, the perimeter of an existing artificial reef. Of course, we've designed reef darts to be sunk in a variety of depths, including 400, 500 feet of water where we haven't yet created any artificial reefs off Palm Beach County. One of the main intents of reef darts was to create deep water benthic habitat, high vertical profile habitat in really deep water that provides places for fish like Warsaw grouper, snowy grouper, and red snapper. These are overfished species of fish that need a lot of help. And so by adding additional marine habitat at those depths, we're providing almost a marine refuge for these species, helping them recover. Jim, you've been involved with this concept since we've kind of come up with it. What do you think the environmental benefits will be from a reef dart initiative?
Good gracious, Tom. This is amazing. What you get with this type of structure, with height, you get an aggregation of all types of bait fish. Those fish will attract other fish. We hope it will get the grouper concept going really good, the warsaws, the snowies, and the amberjack and that type of thing, and hope to get a spawning area. There's nothing really in this whole location except the muddy bottom when we go to deep water. This is really a trial area right here. The beauty of this is it'll also grow all types of fouling organisms on it. That's really going to be amazing. And in deep water, we may even get oculina corals, which we don't even have here in this area. We have them at Fort Pierce. That's about our closest point. When we get down into deeper water, we're going to have a real tremendous benefit, because that is going to take us into a situation where we have no real current problems, no wave problems, no hurricane problems. We're out of harm's way. We're in lower dissolved oxygen. So something like a ship, I'll give you an example. A ship we look at when we put in shallow water, the lifetime is probably 50 years, give or take, depending on hurricanes, ripping it apart and that type of thing. We go offshore, we bump that maybe 500 years, maybe 1,000 years for the same vessel that we put down. This stuff will stay forever. You can't have anything that's really any neater than this for the price. That's the beauty. It's cheap to build, it's cheap to deploy. What would really be nice is that if we go to the deep water, we deploy these in one area, as many as we can, and then we also put something in there with some superstructure to it, a ship, an oil rig, or something of that nature. Hopefully Palm Beach County will come up with that part. We can keep working with this part. We're really not creating this for fishermen or for divers. We're trying to create habitat.
And reef darts aren't meant to replace sinking ships or other types of structures when they become available.
No.
This is just all about doing something on a regular basis that's cost effective.
Cost effective, not only cost effective, but gives you a different biological look, if you will, because this gives you structure in the water column.
And we're giving new life to things like old culverts and old power poles.
And the beauty of this is, if it really works here, this could go statewide, even into the Gulf, wherever they want to do it, with a totally different concept that'll really help bring in a lot of fish, and it'll provide a lot of habitat.
We're really building a template for other coastal communities around the country.
This is really neat, because this is a springboard to many, many, many other areas in the state.
Well, you know, the West Palm Beach Fishing Club was the one that had the very first artificial reef permitted in the state of Florida. So we have a pretty long history of doing some innovative stuff, and this is a continuation of a very long conservation tradition. So here's a prototype reef dart module that's scaled to size. It's about 1/10 scale, and you can see that the base of the dart has holes to allow the current to pass through the base as the module sinks through the water column. We're trying to overcome a whole lot of very, very challenging variables with this project, not the least of which is a 3.5, 4 knot current that we're experiencing today. But also, when the reef dart makes impact with the bottom, the impact loading is significant, and we're trying to prevent the pole from snapping at impact by having a very substantial collar. Hopefully all these parts come together so that the reef dart lays in this orientation on the bottom. The key to getting reef darts to be successful is to get the pole so that it ends up in a vertical orientation on the bottom. And therein lies the biggest challenge to reef darts, is modifying the base of the pole so that when the dart makes impact with the bottom, that it lands upright. Hopefully we've got enough mass on the bottom of the dart to get that pole sticking straight up. It's still all highly experimental.